All right, race fans, we are back. Another week of racing in the books. She was a hot one out there, unless you were up in Superior. Bert, it was so fucking cold in Superior. Everybody's talking about 100-degree, 95-degree weather, right? It was so cold in Superior, even Sabraski cooled off. He was a turtle up there in Superior. I don't know what's going on, right? Maybe he's old. The cold weather kind of got to him, but he was really good everywhere else. But episode 265 brought to you, of course, by Impact Health Sharing. So as you know, if you're in the market, you pay for your own health insurance, whether you're a family, individual, business, whatever it may be. If you got employees, man, I tell you what, we have some fantastic deductibles, really great prices, highly competitive. Get a hold of me, 218-969-1380, or hit me up on Messenger. I can get you a quick quote, see if we can help you out with your health insurance costs. Impact Health Sharing has been a great product. So as always, Ryan Aho here, the legendary, I think we got manager of the Brewers here. I'm not really sure what we got going on. We got he has the M on his hat. I'm like, that's got to be for Minnesota. He's a big Milwaukee Brewer guy. We got Bert Lehman, fresh off. Did the Brewers win, Bert?
Yes, they won. It was a classic pitching matchup. If you're a baseball fan, Paul Skeens is probably the best young pitcher. He pitches for the Pirates, and Jacob Mizorowski is a rookie for the Brewers, who's given up 3 hits and 3 starts. So, and the Brewers won today. They had over 42,000 people there today, more than they had for opening day. So that's how much people were buying tickets for this matchup.
The Paul Skeens effect right there, kind of like Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. That's the real deal. I mean, he's legit. I don't know much about baseball, but I have heard that name several times. And
it wasn't it wasn't just Skeens. It was Mizorowski too, because he's the hot young rookie for the Brewers this year.
We do not give credit to Wisconsin sports teams on this show. Okay, that does not happen. We boycott that shit.
Let's be honest. Baseball's not even a freaking sport anymore. Hasn't been a sport for 20 years.
42,000 people at the stadium on a freaking Wednesday would probably tell you different. So I
understand that.
Yeah.
The 42,000 free tickets aren't all that impressive.
It's more. I prefer to watch NHL hockey to Major League Baseball, but the crowds, right? The audiences, a little bit different. It's not even close to the same thing. That's a debate for another time. We got our hockey guy here, as you can see. We got Changa. He's the hockey guy. He's our resident hockey guy, former national champ, crew chief and track champion up at the Proctor Speedway in the Pier Stock. We got Changa here. We could have this debate. We'll have a 17-hour show because he's a big hockey guy. And he even likes it more than football, which means he's probably a little bit slow. I guess the one benefit.
I love them all, but
the one benefit to hockey, though, Chongo, Wisconsin doesn't have it. I'm just saying. Okay, so Wisconsin people, if they want to cheer for a hockey team, they either have to cheer for a Chicago team or a Minnesota team because they don't have one of their own. So, just saying, kind of works out. All right, so let's roll into some random tidbits. Some pretty. Actually kind of a weird rain out tonight. You sent me that messenger. Bert, did you see that? So Tri-State or Tri-City or whatever it is down in Granite City, Hell Tour race rained out. Kenny Wallace did a video. They got an inch of rain in 20 minutes? Is that what it was roughly, Changa?
That's what they said. An inch of rain in 20 minutes. He said a football field away. He said it was 100 degrees and sunny all day. And a football field away, no rain.
In any direction.
Rain just landed on the racetrack.
Somebody pissed off Mother Nature down in Granite City, Illinois, because that is a very unique deal. So the big news today, Dirt Late Model World, National Late Model Touring Series, the Hunt the Front Touring Series regular, of course, multi-time national champion in Wissota, Ricky Weiss, stuck north of the border. Went up, lost a grandparent, tough deal, thoughts and prayers. That's never an easy deal, losing a family member. So he went up for that, but tried to get a flight back. And sounds like they said, no, sir, you are not flying back into the country. And Basically, a lot of stuff out there, but he said, hey, it's a paperwork issue, and let's just face it, he got into some legal trouble last year at the USA Nationals. Okay. Most of that stuff got dropped, not all of it. There is a felony charge, right? That came along with that. The penalty there or whatever, the sentencing has been deferred, meaning that he has 2 years probation. But at this time, it's a felony charge. He's got felony charge as a non-citizen of the United States. First question I got, Bert, is he's been here a decade. Why does he not have freaking dual citizenship? Arpin got it, right? Arpin's been probably about the same amount of time, and he's down in Charlotte. He got dual citizenship. That might cost him, because as well as I do, we know people try to get up to Canada the other direction with DUIs, which is a felony in Canada. They can't get across the border, right? Well, right now he has a felony charge against him that, after 2 years of probation, sounds like could be dropped as long as he doesn't get any trouble. That's kind of how that deal works. Might be able to get back into the States then, but boy, it's going to be interesting. Do you guys think there's a real chance that he doesn't get back into the States until that 2 years is up?
I think he'll probably get in before that, but I don't know how. I don't know all the laws and stuff. I mean, he made it sound in this post like all he has to do is file some extra paperwork and he'll be in. So I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I'm gonna say he'll be in before 2 years.
As a Ricky Weiss fan, I certainly hope so, right? He's one of I call him one of ours, right? He's a northern guy, he's a Wissota guy, he's had great success on the national touring scene, so, and he has a business down in Tennessee, he's got a residence down there. Hopefully he can get back over, but you take the racing out of the equation, and you got a felony, some kind of a not manslaughter, some kind of a battery type charge. I'm not exactly sure the details on it. I tell you what, not easy to get back into the States as a felon, right? I would have to think that's kind of tough. So I don't know. It's going to be hopefully it's an easier deal than what I'm kind of hearing, but I guess time will tell. Interesting deal and tough break, because he planned on following the Hunt the Front series, and like I said, he's got his whole business there. He's essentially moved to Tennessee, he lives there, and boy, he's stuck up there now. So that's going to be a tough deal. Big road ahead there for Ricky Weiss. Fun killers. We usually talk about tech guys, but kind of been hammering on kind of the fun killer tour. I usually like to pick on Pagonis about this. Sent him a little present, guys. You're going to hear about that next week. He's got a little something coming. So, Pogo, if you're listening to this, hey, hat tip for you. You're welcome. Enjoy. You got something coming. More to come. We'll get back to that next week. But this week, it's not him. Guys, technology in racing, right? We got transponders, live timing, all that. And transponders on race cars are there to make scoring easier. I mean, how many times, Chonga, did we bitch like, holy shit, we got put back 2 spots on that restart. That's bullshit. I should have been up here. So transponders, in theory, makes that easier. Midwest Mod Special last week, Grand Rapids Speedway up northern Minnesota. Local driver up there, Mikey Blevins, P3, finishes 3rd, DQ'd at the end of the race, non-working transponder. Wow. So now I talked to some other drivers and people, and they're like, this kind of been a little bit of an issue. Like it's not the first time. It's been kind of an intermittent deal, but it was working and then not working. And lap 7, it quit working. So it was kind of like intermittent type deal. Transponders aren't cheap. They're not free, but they have a scorer up in the booth that literally writes down the numbers as they go by. Is this, I mean, I get it, right? But is this crossing a threshold of like, why do we have too many cars over at the Grand Rapids Speedway? Are we trying to get rid of people? Like, why are we DQing people over a frickin' transponder? I mean, come on. What do you guys think on that?
Well, I agree. And I mean, don't the drivers rent the transponders from the track? I mean,
No, most own them. Most own them.
Okay.
You can rent them, but
Okay.
nowadays most people own them. Yep.
But no, I mean, I think that's ticky tacky, and I think I'll just say I think it's ridiculous.
I do too. Changa, how
Well,
how would Ryan Aho have responded, or Todd Frank, or Terry Casey, or Provenzino, or Ed Wakefield, Tom Nesbitt, right? How would people, like some of us hotheads, how would we have responded? Bob Broking, right? Hothead. How would some of these drivers respond if they got DQ'd at the end of the race? Hey, here's the deal. The transponder quit working on lap 7. Why didn't they tell them on lap 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, any of these fucking laps, right? Why didn't they tell them, dude, hey, next yellow, you're off the track, transponder ain't working, you're out of here. Or throw the black flag. We ain't scoring the guy anyway. Black flag him. What if he wrecked his car on lap 15 on a race that he wasn't going to get credit for anyway? That would have been horseshit, right? So I don't know.
My feelings are this. I don't give a shit about Ryan Aho and Jeff Provenzino and Tom Nesbitt. What the hell they're gonna do, right? Doesn't matter. There has to be a rule in place, right? Okay. If your transponder battery dies in the middle of the race, you're DQ'd. If that isn't the thing at the track, at Wasota, wherever, there's a reason they have 2 lap counters, right? Probably for that reason, right? And let's be honest, okay, no racetrack has too many cars in this day and age. Now you're picking on a family that's got 3 cars going there. Come on, I mean, let's be real. Are you going to piss them off and just have 3 less cars at your track? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that's a realistic possibility in the grand scheme of racing in this day and age. And it's like, this is a guy that supports your racetrack year in, year out, start to finish. You got lap counters to count. Just deal with it. Give them a warning. I don't know. Make a rule on it, a track rule, something. If there's not a track rule, you gotta just use discretion and let the lap counters do their job. That's why they're there. Why do you have them if you're not gonna let them do their job, right?
Unfortunate deal. I did talk to the driver. He says, hey, it is what it is. I'm going to move on. He's a racer. They're going to go back. They're going to still support the Grand Rapids Speedway. He didn't agree with the call. He did say that he goes, I reacted probably not in the way it should have, and he spun rocks up kind of over some officials or whatever after the race, and that got him in a little bit more trouble, right? And I'm like, I probably would have did the same thing. I was a hothead too. I get it, but it is what it is. But you're right. Make a rule, put it in place, and be consistent. Do the same for everybody. I've never seen anybody get DQ'd for this ever in the history of racing. Bert, little news: Eastern Wisconsin.
Well, Eastern Wisconsin and Western Wisconsin.
Fair enough. Fair.
Yeah, the Dirt Kings tour. Their next, I believe it was their next race, and which was supposed to be in July, was going to be at Mississippi Thunder Speedway, and that's always one of their bigger races of the year. I mean, it usually has a pretty good purse, and they usually get a lot of the Western Wisconsin drivers and Minnesota drivers to show up for that race. But that race is Dirt Kings will not be racing at Mississippi Thunder Speedway this year. And I did reach out to Jason Schultz, who owns Dirt Kings, with his wife Sandy, and Jason did confirm to me that Dirt Kings will not be racing at Mississippi Thunder Speedway. He did not give me a reason why. He said that it was Mississippi Thunder's decision, so it should be them who gives the reason why. And I can respect Jason for that. Not sharing that.
Yeah,
So Bert,
absolutely. Go ahead.
Bert, off the record, do you think this is, probably a product of like the World Outlaw late model race? They had crappy weather and they probably didn't draw as well as they wanted to. Then they had the 100,000 to win mod race that there wasn't a lot of people in the stands for. Do you think it's just a matter of there's not enough money at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway to put up a Dirt
Well, I
Kings?
mean, I have nothing to confirm that, but I mean that was my first thought when I heard the news, and the fact that Dirt Kings wouldn't give a reason. That also kind of leads me to tend to think in that direction.
Yeah, and I got to give respect to Jason, like you said. I mean, if that was the case, right? It's he's being the bigger guy, saying, "Look, that's their decision. We want to go there. That's fine." A lot of speculation. It's hard to say. It's unfortunate. Mississippi Thunder, great racetrack, and they've had some really good Dirt Kings races down there. But later in the year, Labor Day weekend, I don't know if you guys saw, they're having a doubleheader. SLMR late models are coming to town. So that's Labor Day weekend. Now, a couple familiar names, right? So you think Dirt Kings, Eastern Wisconsin, you try to think, boy, we'd like to get some Western Wisconsin guys over that way, right? Kind of following that deal. Of course, Radetzky is, but Nick Panitsky, Jesse Glens, Lance Matthews, some are some drivers that have been racing quite a few of them SLMR races. Chris Simpson, Tim Ward, Dallin Murdy, Dilly, right? So you got quite a few drivers, pretty good group of cars there. Is that show going to cancel too? Are they going to ixnay that whole deal Labor Day weekend? Hopefully that still goes on. And if not, are they transitioning because you have some drivers that are more in that area? Are they maybe looking like, well, we're going to kind of shift our focus to SLMR stuff rather than Dirt Kings? Could that be a deal? And quite honestly, for the Dirt Kings and for Eastern Wisconsin racing, as much as I like them traveling west, it's probably better in the state of racing they're in right now that they kind of focus probably on that Eastern Wisconsin side anyway to build that back up.
And the thing with Dirt Kings is there are not nearly as many drivers following that series as there was several years ago. I mean, several years ago, even if the race was at Mississippi Thunder, you could expect probably at least 10 to 15 Eastern Wisconsin drivers to show up. And I don't think that's the case anymore. Some of those drivers just don't want, kind of got sick of the because they were traveling to Iowa. They went to Deer Creek I think they went to Deer Creek one year, or some. I think they went to Minnesota, and they went to
Last year.
Illinois, and so it's with the state of late model racing in Eastern Wisconsin. Me personally, I'd rather see Dirt Kings stay more local for all their shows, not only for the drivers, but also for the fans, so they can, you know, you can't even really watch dirt late model racing on a weekly basis anymore in Eastern Wisconsin.
What do you mean, Bert? They had 3 of them at Shawano. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So you're exactly right, and that's the thing, right? Dirt Kings has been I mean, the last couple of years it hasn't been a good product. It hasn't, but prior to that it was. So before that it was a really good product, and then they started expanding, and they're not the only series that's ever done that. Superstock series is doing that, and their car counts have gone down because they're expanding too wide. And there is a fair amount of late models over in that area, and if they can work together in those area tracks and build something to kind of grow that back up, I think that's probably maybe for the best.
I mean, basically in Eastern Wisconsin, you probably have 20 to 30 late model. That's it. That is your pool. So you got to devise a series that's going to draw those 20 to 30 cars to all of your races.
Correct.
And then maybe hope for a traveler to show up here and there.
Yeah, hopefully that can happen. So speaking of some interesting stuff, Hibbing Speedway, Changa, what's your thoughts on this whole Tuesday's the new Saturday?
Well, they raced last night up in Hibbing. It was pretty entertaining. In fact, I'm watching the replay of it on my laptop right now as we speak, and I don't know. I mean, it's kind of cool to get a night of your own, right? Nobody races on Tuesdays, but next Tuesday is going to be interesting, right? They got that Ironman Invitational. Hasn't happened in since the 70s or something, right? And they're going to have the Ryan Newman there in his 39 car. Jeff Provenzino built a car for him, and he's coming up to race. So that should be a really good deal. 5,000 to win. I'm hoping they can get a good car count for that deal.
The track was a lot better. It started out, the first night was straight marbles. The second night was rough and kind of rodeo. I enjoyed watching it. It was good. It was entertaining to watch, but to race on, I probably would have been disappointed. It was wider, right? This weekend, weekend, frickin' Tuesday is not a weekend, right? But it was better. I mean, cars were passing. I mean,
Yeah.
I know Dalton Carlson won from 8th, and Blake Adams put a top shelf in the modified, and he got it done. So, I mean, is it perfect? No, it needs a lot of work, but it's better. The track was raceable, so hopefully, and I know they were supposed to have an XR Super Series race next Tuesday, and that canceled, multiple reasons, right? I mean, one of them being the track's just not ready to hold a national touring series type race, and number two is I don't even know if there is an XR Super Series because I haven't seen anything else anywhere for any races, so there might not be anything. So hopefully they have some stuff down the road. But Bert, how did it work? Beaver Dam ran Tuesdays last year, and they seem to have a pretty decent following on a Tuesday night, didn't they?
My understanding was they had good car counts, but they didn't necessarily have good crowd counts.
Okay. Okay. And and that's the thing, right? You look at, and I talked to some promoters and they're like kind of back gate driven right now anyway. You look at Saturday. If Hibbing as a track wants to draw out of town cars, right? They're going to draw from the Duluth area. They're going to draw from over, Bemidji area up north. Well, you got Emo, Brainerd, Ashland, Rice Lake, Ogilvie, Cedar Lake. You got all these other Saturday tracks. Guess what? None of them run on Tuesday. So they did get a few travelers. Some car counts fantastic. Some car counts were light. So he's one thing we know about Barry. He's going to try a lot of shit. It's just who he is and what he does.
So I got this thing on my laptop right now. The stands probably last night weren't any different than a Saturday night. They're pretty decent, right? No less than a regular Saturday night race. The racing was, one thing I do notice is the track in Hibbing is faster. It is.
It
In
is.
fact, let's be honest, faster is more exciting to the people in the stands. They got some work to do, but I have faith that it's going to get there.
Late model drivers, 5,000 to win next Tuesday, Hibbing Speedway. Get it on your calendar. Get up there. We'd love to have you. All right. So, a couple interesting incidents over this past week. Couple wrecks. One nasty, probably one of the violent rollovers that I've seen in a while. But the question I have is, when there's a wreck and all of a sudden it's something crazy happens, somebody gets up into the fence or somebody tumbles and rolls over. Do you think sometimes officials overreact based on what they just saw and they're like, holy shit, I got to make a call on somebody because that person just got in the fence or that person just tumbled on the back straightaway and their car's destroyed. I got to make a call, right? Do you think sometimes there's a knee-jerk reaction that's maybe a little bit unwarranted? So let me give you a couple examples. I don't know if you guys watch these races or not. Street Stock Tour, hell of a race. Ogilvie on Saturday. That was an absolute awesome race until the rollover at the end, which was unfortunate.
Race, no question.
Yep, but really good battle up front. So on the closing lap, let me break this down. Closing lap, they're coming to the white flag, and the second place car, which was Cody Coomer, crossed it up coming off 4, went down through the infield, lost a whole bunch of ground getting into turn 1 and 2. When he lost that ground, third place driver Andrew Hansen actually tracked him down and got closer. Coomer went to the bottom, rolled up the back straightaway. To me, it appeared gradual, but he still went from the bottom to the wall, right? And Hansen had a run on the outside, stuck his nose in there, the gap closed up, and the rest is history. And he took a tumble down the back straightaway and whole body flew off the race car. Them heavy steel bodies with aluminum pop rivets, not a good fit because everything just shatters everywhere and everything flies everywhere, right? But they call it checkered because everybody taking a white. They give second place to Hansen, the guy that rolled over, and they take Coomer. They call the caution on him. He gets last place of the cars on the lead lap. Right call, wrong call, overreaction. I mean, I saw people saying, "Oh man, it was a terrible, what a hack," and I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think?
So I watched it. My opinion on the deal is that, and there's a lot of facets to this whole deal, right? I mean, Cody Coomer ran the bottom the entire race. Andrew Hansen was ahead of him most of the race and getting pressure from him on the bottom. But late restart, Hansen gets a horrible start while leading, falls back behind them guys and has to track them down. Coomer messes up, goes inside a freaking grader tire. And I don't know if Andrew Hansen just thought he was going to stay on the bottom because he ran the bottom the whole race. But I mean, he didn't like dart from the bottom to the top. Not at all. He just gradually let it ride, let it ride, let it ride. Look to me, I mean, and Andrew Hansen's the guy I want to win. He's my local guy, right? But it looked to me like he had ample opportunity to get out of the throttle. There's no way Coomer could see him. He's ahead of him, right? You don't got mirrors, you don't got spotters, you don't have them things, right? He couldn't tell he was there, and he just ran him out of real estate. To me, Hansen could have lifted out of the throttle and prevented his car from getting destroyed and pretty much ruining his whole season on that street stock tour. I mean, now, granted, he did have a big run and he's trying to win still, probably, but yeah, I mean, in my opinion, he could have got out of the throttle and did.
Yeah, that's kind of what. Bert, did you see that incident? Did you watch that?
I saw the rollover, but I didn't see what started the rollover.
Yeah, and that's kind of how. Now they do have a rule, from what I understand. They talk about it weekly. That if you come from the bottom of the wall, I think Deer Creek actually says this too. If you come off the bottom and you roll to a wall and you don't leave a guy on the outside and there's an incident, they're going to call it on you. I believe that to be the rule at Ogilvy. I don't know if I like that rule. I mean, I can see if it's an abrupt move to the outside or whatever, but I don't think there was any ill intent. I think it was a racing deal. They were both racing for position. Glad the driver's okay. Hopefully they get, that thing back together. I believe he missed the next night. I don't think he was at Granite. So hopefully they have it back together this week. But yeah, I don't know. A little bit of an overaction there on if you ask me. I think that they felt like they had to make a call. I can understand the call. Don't know if I like the call, but I guess I can understand it. The other rollover, I don't know if you guys saw it. Not a multi-car deal. Sam Mars had a pretty good tumble there at I-55. Really good to see him down there. He'd kind of been running mostly local, and kind of cool to see him go down to I-55 to the World of Outlaw show. Showed some signs of speed, and yeah, he ended up hooking a rut. It was pretty cowboy up from what I understand, and I think he rolled a right front off or something like that, getting into one, and took a hell of a tumble in 1 and 2, and I don't know how bad the car is. I'm sure it's back on the jig at MB, but Sam, from what I understand, is okay as well, but that one was pretty nasty.
Yeah, he posted on Facebook that he was all right, and he thanked. He said he was glad for um how for MB Customs making a safe race car that it could withstand a roll like that. But yeah, I mean that was a roll, like you said, he just hooked a rut. I mean, no other car touched him or anything. He just went into the corner and it just took off on him.
Yeah, it did. And you're right. I mean, you look at all these cars that are rolling over, crashing, getting in the fence. I mean, safety's come a long way. That's a good thing for sure. Another incident that was pretty heavily talked about on social media, and this is kind of a unpopular conversation, right? Is everybody loves Kennedy Swan, right? She's the token, like the female that is absolutely can be a rocket ship in a race car, and everybody likes to pull for the so-called underdog or whatever you want to call her. And she's been fast. She's a good race car driver. Swap sliders at the Red Cedar Speedway early in the race with Caden Blazer, another one of the young guns down there, and they're throwing haymakers at each other. And they come off of turn 4. Blazer gets into to me, it looked like Blazer got in the back of her and turned her up into the fence. Just hard racing. I mean, they're literally swapping out the lead, right? They're racing, try to win this thing. He did get into her, got her up into the fence, but then I don't know what she broke, something, because she didn't finish, but she rolled all the way around 1 and 2, down the back straightaway, past the pit gate, stops completely on the complete opposite end of the racetrack. Yellow comes out. The internet's going crazy. They're like, kick him off the track, suspend him. This guy's a hack, dirty driver. racing deal. I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, it was a racing deal. If it was anybody else, nobody would have reacted. It happens all the time. But he did get into her. Now, should he have gone to the back, being that the yellow happened for something? I mean, she stopped on the complete opposite side of the racetrack. Your thoughts?
God. And then that I watched this thing a couple times, and I'm like, so today I had Crash Carlson in the shop. I made him watch the video. I'm like, Crash, watch this. What do you think the call should be? Because I don't know what the call should be. I mean, this is crazy. Like, he slides her, she slides him back. He drives up underneath the back of her car. Not dirty, not bad, just enough to upset her car. Car gets into the wall a little bit. Wasn't hard, but obviously it did some damage. I don't know, if it bent a J-bar, threw a drive shaft out of the car. It looked like the front end was wobbling, but it looked to me like the back end hit the wall. But she comes down around all this way slow, and I'm thinking, all right, she's just trying to wait for the pack to go around so she doesn't get clobbered if she stops, right? Well, then she gets to the pit exit. I thought she was going to turn in there and didn't, and goes past there and then just stops. And I'm like, God, I don't. How do you decide who's going to get called for that, right? I mean, yeah, he did bump her and she got into the wall. It wasn't nothing major, but he did ultimately cause her to go in the wall and break. But that car kept going around for over a half a lap. And then you just parked it. And, it's like right there, that's the poster child for the no fault caution rule, right? I mean, that's why you should have it, because, like, really, if you were wrecked, you'd have stopped. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, hey, I'm cheering for her as much as anybody else. I want her to win races, and I want her to battle up front and swap sliders with Caden Blazer. And, Blake Adams was up there. The top three starters in that race were less in age than Mike Anderson, who started fourth, just for the record, because Blake Adams started third, right? And he's 52, and that three don't even add up to 52. So, but yeah, incidentally, Mike Anderson did win that race.
Yeah. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He capitalized. The old man got her done. Attaboy, Mike. One for the old guys. Bert, your thoughts on that deal, right? So if I'm a Kennedy Swan, I'm a fan of both these drivers. I really enjoy watching Kennedy Swan and Caden Blazer, and of course Blake. I enjoy watching them a lot. And they were swapping. I wanted to see that race go the whole distance without that happening. If I'm a Kennedy Swan fan, if I'm on that side of it, I'm like, she doesn't stop if Caden Blazer doesn't get her into the fence. That's why she broke, right? And if I'm a Caden Blazer fan, I'm like, well, yeah, I got into her. She hit the wall, but I didn't like bring out a yellow. I didn't spin her out. Like I didn't like. So that's a tough deal. Your thoughts as a fan?
Um, I guess I would go with, since she didn't stop, um, I think she brings out the caution, because she did stop, but it's not, I mean, not until she made what, half a lap or whatever. So, I mean, all the other cars were racing for position during that time. So, that would be my opinion, that the caution would be on her.
Yeah, fans, let us know. Put in the comments below. What do you think? What, right call, wrong call? What do you think? Changa, you got anything else here? Anything else interesting?
I still don't know if I have an opinion on that deal. I mean, I can go either way, right? I mean, it sucks either way.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, moving on here. So actually, one shout out. So remember a few weeks back, Viking Speedway, they had the car that was spinning around in a kind of a circle down there. Guy had an issue. There was another incident at the Viking Speedway this past week.
Yeah. Any news on Nitro Jimmy Williams after apparently he had a heart attack, maybe even a massive heart attack at Viking this week?
Massive heart attack. They got him to the hospital. They had to airlift him. It was a bad deal, really touch and go. And there is news, positive news. He had open heart surgery this morning, and sounds like everything went well. I think he had like something in the chest or whatever. There was some broken stuff there from when they were doing chest compressions. Like I don't know if it's ribs or whatever else is up there or whatever, but he broke some stuff that was damaged during chest compressions. But what the staff that basically got him to where he needed to be and took care of him, hats off to them. And good to hear Jimmy Nitro Williams on the mend. Probably a long way to go, got to heal up, but holy shit, scary. That's 2 times, right? The Viking Speedway, massive heart attack. Or the first guy wasn't a heart attack. He had a different kind of issue. But this was a massive heart attack, but 2 major scares over there. Fortunately, both ended with positive news so far. So hopefully it stays that way. Unpopular opinions. I had a few promoters reach out. Okay. I had a few promoters. Unpopular opinions, Bert, from promoters, WISSOTA promoters. First one, heat points are stupid. Heat points are absolutely unnecessary. They're stupid. There's no heat points in any other form of racing anywhere. There's national touring stuff, USMTS, late model sprint cars. There's no heat race points anywhere, right? And I'm talking to this guy. I'm like, well, the theory behind it is the point chasers are going to race harder because of the points. He's like, get rid of the stupid ass heat points and just change up the redraw format, maybe top 2 or go straight up or do something to where you're incentivized. Heat points, let's face it, we've both watched a lot of all 3 of us watch a lot of races. Heats, if you start deep in a heat race, it can be a bear to pass in a heat race, and you're going to ruin a whole night of racing because of a terrible draw. Heat races only be to set up qualifying for the A main, or should you get points for the heat race? Bert?
I don't have a problem with heat points. I mean, because I understand if you start in the back, the track's not always in the best of condition, during the heat races. So, you can kind of get stuck behind the 8 ball, but I just think it promotes drivers to race to the front. That's,
So does a straight up lineup, though, right? So, I mean, if the heat winner starts front row and the second place starts row 2 and third place starts row 3, blah, 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 so on and so forth. If the better you do in the heat gets you a better starting spot in the feature, that incentivizes better racing in a heat race too, right?
yeah, but they don't start the feature straight up.
What if they redrew less cars? Because right now you get 4th in the heat race, because the only people in theory that are going to race harder are points chasers. And if there's only a handful of points chasers and the masses are like, look, we don't give a shit, right? We get in the top 4, we're in the redraw. That's all we care. We're in the redraw. We don't care. If there's 1 or 2 point racers, I can promise you this. If I'm a point racer, I need to win the heat. And if Bert Lehman's running first, I'm running second, I'm going to run your ass over for that point. I'm going to do it.
Does WISSOTA redraw for their features?
They do.
Or is it...
They changed it this year to the redraw. That's our next topic here.
Okay.
So, Changa?
Well, forever I've always been on the side of I want points in a heat race because then it makes people race harder, whether racing for national points, track points. It makes them not just settle for 3rd or settle for 4th. They're going to go with everything to try to gain that 1 more position, gain that 1 more point. Like I said, whether it's for national points or even track points. So, yeah, I guess long story short, I do like heat race points. Now,
yeah,
that there's a different discussion on how we should not line up the features, but I do like heat race points.
Well, that's next, but so 2 sides of this, right? Because I'm the guy that I kind of like heat race points because I feel like you're getting rewarded for every race you're competing in, right? But on the flip side of that, man, when I drew bad in a heat race and I looked at the track and it was narrow and 1 lane and going to be hard to pass on, I was a U.S. Whitney. I was a miserable prick to be around because I'm like, might as well load up, go home. We're going to get 3rd in the heat race at best, starting 10th in this deal, and this is absolutely, so. But that's and if you're, and that I guess that'll lead us right into the next one.
But
right?
that's not a throwaway for everybody. That's just for you. It's
That's
still
just
a
for
throw
me.
for the track point guys. It's not a throwaway. I mean, you
How
know,
many drivers race for points?
well, I mean,
Percentage.
well,
Five.
I would hope all of them would race for track points, but I mean, I don't
In
know.
reality.
I
In
don't know
reality.
how to do it any other way. There's no freaking point in even going there if you're not trying to win something, right?
Well, is there heat race points in Lucas Oil? Is there heat race points in World of Outlaw? High limit?
Well,
USMTS?
let's be honest. Lucas Oil's got the stupidest point structure you ever seen. You get 10 points for fucking being fast qualifier. Really? 10 points for being fast qualifier? What is that all about? Last weekend, JD could have took the point lead with his win, but because RTJ was the fast qualifier, they tied in points. I mean,
that is valid because you want to talk about
qualifying. That's not even a race.
You want to talk about a disparity. I mean, if there's 35 cars at a racetrack and you're in the best situation as far as when you time trial, holy shit, is that an advantage, right? I mean, if you draw one and you're out in straight slime and the track sticks up about car 25 and all of a sudden they're going a second a lot faster than you,
you're fucked.
Yeah, 100%. So that's an interesting deal. So the next one, this came from another promoter. Draw redraw in its current form in Wissota is no better than the point average. And if they're going to keep it the way it is, they might as well go back to the point average because we're sick of watching the same guy start on the front row every single night.
Yeah, I do not like draw redraw. Because you could.
What do you like best? Give us your alternative. What do you like better?
I like point average personally.
BERTLEHMAN. If you're looking drivers, if you're looking from this Bert Lehman, okay. Okay, as a fan, why? What makes you like point average?
Because for the most part, it lumps the best drivers together. Where with draw redraw, you could have one of the best drivers starting on the pole and the other one starting eighth, and that's really not fair. I mean,
in theory, because we know the pull-off game, right?
Well,
where
right.
That was an issue too. Certain drivers like, I'm running fourth, I'm pulling off. They're going to start up front, and I was like, what the? Kidding me? Right? Get rid of that deal.
Ever have we seen anybody just pull off on purpose to get a bad point average so they could win the next week? That never happened.
he can't even say that shit with a straight face. Yeah. So I think an alternative, if they were good to go back to the point average, is invert less cars. We don't need, if there's 2 heats, we don't need to invert 8. That's like half the field or over half the field at some of these races, right? If you do 6, not a huge deal. Same thing goes with the redraw, right? If there's 2 heats, redraw the top 3, then they're still kind of clumped together, right? Or if there's 3 heats, do top 2, right? So they're still clumped together. You can. I think that whether it's draw redraw or point average, I think they just have too many cars in that group, because if you finish 4th in your heat and there's 2 heats, you shouldn't get to start on the front row. What are we talking about here, right? That it should be the top 2 redraw, top 3 at the most. And I think that would, whether you go draw, redraw, or point average, I think that would make it better all the way around. You'd have them faster cars in theory all closer together. But Bert, I get what you're saying for sure. One to go show event of the week. I would have to say Houston's High Bank Nationals. I mean, that was.
I think it was Changa's favorite event.
Well, we'll get to that. I mean, I'm proud of him.
Shithole.
I'm proud of him. Okay. So here's the deal: 4 races for the sprint cars. Okay, 20 grand to win, 100 grand to win, 20 grand to win, 250 grand to win. Okay. Most of the best were there. Changa had one guy that he drafted that said, "Fuck Changa, I'm going to go west and go run 12th instead."
Scared.
Not only was it one of his guys he drafted, it was a 2nd round pick.
Yeah, and he decided, you know what, it makes a lot more sense to drive all the way out to Washington to run 12th than it does to go, half the distance and go to Huset's.
And
Brent
I'm still
Marks.
excited. There was no specification they had to be at Huset's. We were just picking drivers and getting points off of their positions. I still feel like I should get Brent Marks points.
It was called the Huset's draft.
I know.
It was called the Huset's draft. Yes. So here's the deal. It was 100 freaking degrees outside. It was hot.
It would have
Right?
mattered. I'd have gotten
Hot.
like 46th anyways because the guys suck.
You did good. I'm proud of you. You did good. We're gonna get to that in a minute. So
Yeah.
so the track was slimy, it was muddy, right? And the feature races were better. But let me ask you this, right? What's the alternative? If they go drier, 4 nights of racing in that heat, if they go drier and they don't mud it up, is it straight frickin' rubber? I've seen that place latch up. I've seen it rubber up. The alternative of that deal was we got to get it greasy, slimy. Any other class, late models, stock cars, modifieds, it's a disaster. Sprint cars can at least go on that shit. They can at least back it in there and hammer down. Rico couldn't go on that shit. He was awful. But do you think that slime and mud and tack is better than dry Dust Bowl turning to rubber?
Well, I mean, obviously, if you're racing 4 straight nights and it's warm out and you got that amount of cars with that amount of horsepower, I mean, you can't start out the night dry, right? I mean, you got to mud it up a little bit. Uh, but let's be honest, go to a real freaking racetrack that actually provides good racing and it might be fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it went well. My guys did good. I don't, Bert. I mean, your guys did pretty good too. I mean, a lot better than his guys. I can tell you that.
Go to a real racetrack so we can actually see race. I mean, that
Bert,
place.
Bert, give me your takeaways. Anything stick out to you from the Huset's High Bank Nationals?
Well, I mean, I'll get into. I'm sure we'll get into this in a hot knot, but I mean, I gotta, I guess, give a shout out to Wisconsin driver Bill Baylog. I mean, he had a really good a weekend there, and that's good to see. And I guess one of the things is, each night it's like there were big name drivers driving in the B, and big name drivers that didn't come out of the B. So as a fan, you want to see the best of the best compete against each other, and this is one of those events.
And they couldn't even compete against each other because the track was absolute dog crap and nobody could pass gas.
Well, I don't know. There was a lot of people drove forward. Like Bill Baylog started third row in his heat, and he drove right to second. Rico Abreu started third row in his heat.
Not second, one time.
Rico Abreu was terrible. Terrible. I mean, he was one of the hottest drivers in sprint car racing coming into this deal. He made one of the 4 features, and he got 10th in that. And he didn't even get a top 5 in a freaking B main. And let's be completely honest, the tracks in the B main wasn't that bad. He just wasn't that good. Okay, he would have been faster on his Kubota tractor.
Okay, there is only one thing on this freaking planet more boring than fucking Brewers baseball, and that was that race last week.
Now, I got to be completely honest. Me and Man Bun Dan, we thought it was great. Okay, so Man Bun Dan, shout out, right? Big old Dan there in Alexandria won the draft. I got second for the second consecutive draft here. Uper was talking a big game, right? We picked 4 drivers, 3 of them counted your best 3 each night. Uper the first night, he had his 3 drivers were all top 6 in the feature. He's like, oh man, boy, I feel pretty good. He's chirping all of us and all that. Guess what? Kyle Larson was one of his guys. He wasn't there for the second part of this deal. So Tonga, on the other hand, is salty, Bert, because he had the most epic failure in the history of drafts. Like, he was so freaking bad. Now, I got to be completely honest, right? I think
we're running out of time.
We are looking at one of the most egregious, literally one of the most egregious, premeditated, bold predictions in the history of the One to Go show. Stay tuned. We're going to get to that at the end of the show. There's some Pete Rose shit going on here.
I'll
because
take my point and like it.
Changa cannot possibly be so fucking terrible at this deal that he gets dead last. And Bert, he had all 4 of his drivers sucked so bad that they didn't even frickin' show up on the last day. They didn't even come. They're like, nope, we're out. He had 0 drivers there on the last day. 0. I smell something fishy. We'll get to that in a little bit, okay? Now, World of Outlaws kicked the dog snot out of the high limits. I mean, it was not
Guessing
even
the
close.
World Outlaws is better than High Limits. You guys are on the other side of the tracks, but I'm sticking true to my World Outlaw guys.
Yeah, okay. Three World of Outlaw wins.
About 10 episodes when I said that the World Outlaws are better.
All right. So three World of Outlaw wins to 1 high limit, kind of high limit. It's Kyle Larson. I guess he owns the series and runs a lot of their shows. Top 5s, Bert. Do you know the numbers? How many World of Outlaws were top 5 as compared to high limit? Take a guess.
15-5.
Let me ask you it this way. On the Friday and Saturday portion, how many high limit guys finished in the top 5?
Go ahead.
0. 16 World of Outlaw drivers in the top got top 5s, 4 high limits. I mean, it was absolutely an ass kicking. That Williamson, was it Garrett Williamson?
Yeah.
Boy, he had a good week. He got a 5th in there. He got a 3rd. I think he had all top 6 finishes. I mean, there's an underdog that really ran good. Baylog had 2nd in both nights of the 100 grand and the 250. Buddy Kofoid doubling up. I mean, to double up on that deal, 100 grand and 250, that's a big deal. And I would not have picked Buddy Kofoid. I mean, he's good, but I don't think I would have picked him to double up. But next year, guys, 150 grand to win on the second day, 300 grand to win on the last day. But World of Outlaws, tell you what, right now, I mean, they got a little bit of they can walk around a little bit taller this week after kicking the shit out of the high limit guys when the money was on the line. Anything else on that race before we jump on?
Where's the points down?
Studs and duds. What is what? No, we'll get to the points in a little bit. Studs and duds. A little bit of debate here, brought to you by Brad Parsons Soil and Ag Solutions. So if you're a farmer, Western Minnesota, North, South Dakota, what are you looking to do? You're looking to be more profitable. How do you become more profitable? You need to have higher yields. How do you get higher yields? Have the right stuff in those spray packages. I don't know shit about farming. Brad Parson does. Give him a call, 320-219-3542, and get some information from him, get the data points to learn about what he has to offer to help you make more money in your farming endeavors. Brad Parsons, Soil and Ag Solutions. So, Bert, you did not. I know you watched some national stuff, of course. Maybe a little bit of late models. You didn't watch pretty much any WISSOTA stuff this past week, right?
Correct.
So we'll let you kind of moderate. I'll kind of start off and we'll let you kind of moderate. Unless you do have something.
I do have some for some, but not all of them.
So we're going to start with national. We're going to get rid of the trending because we're going to try to speed this deal up. We're going to go stud, dud, maybe a little debate. And then at the end of that, if we have a quick shout out to somebody we missed. So, Bert, give us your stud, give us your dud on the national scene.
National scene, stud, I'm going to go with Jonathan Davenport. He didn't have a slump after Eldora, and he crossed off a crown, or I don't know if it's a crown jewel, but he crossed off the Lernerville race. He had never won that race before, so he crossed that one off. So he's the stud of the week. And dud of the week, I guess we kind of talked about him already. We'll go with Rico.
And JD right now, only 5 points out of first, and Lucas. That deal's tight right now. So JD's been hot, and yeah, we talked about Rico. Holy shit. He he was a lost little puppy. He was absolutely terrible. Chonga, stud and dud.
I'll take the low hanging fruit and go my stud buddy Kofoid, right? 4 nights out there, third in the first one for 20 grand to win, right? 100,000 to win, he wins, right? Second place in the next 20,000 to win, and then he gets first place in the 250 grand to win after the 555 he had won last week, at Eagle. So Buddy Kofoid is absolutely 100% the stud in the national tour. My dud, and this is personal right now. I'm freaking pissed off. Okay, Aaron
It's Chonga. It's Chonga on the drafts. Okay, fair enough.
Aaron Reitzel, my first round pick. I don't even care about my second round pick that didn't show up, but my first round pick, you suck. I'm never cheering for you again. Might as well freaking retire because you're dead to me. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to tell you what he did. Okay. So Wednesday night, 5th in the last chance showdown, right? Thursday, make the feature. Good job. 23rd. Okay. Friday, 22nd in the last chance showdown. Okay. Saturday, it gets worse. I'm fucking scared. I'm not even coming to the race. No, that guy, you're dead to me. Don't care.
I got to be honest. I think I'm going to buy an Aaron Reitzel shirt.
Yeah.
I thought he was great. He had a good weekend.
Fire pit with it.
You know what's crazy is you sniped me. He was my top guy on my list. I was probably gonna pick him.
I could have had Bill Bailout.
You could have had Bill Bailout, yeah.
Shout out. I do want to give a little shout out to Turbo. Right after last week, we just dogged the guy. He actually came back with a couple of wins, and he was bad fast in that I-55 second night at I-55. Slide jobs, Bobby tears his front end off, and that Turbo figured his stuff out last week. So yeah, that's my shout out.
Only because we had him on the dud list. That's it. That's the only reason.
That's what
why.
we do.
I'm gonna go with a couple of USMTS guys. We're gonna slide them over to the national scene because that is a national modified scene. Hot. I'm gonna go rocket Rodney Sanders. 6 of his last 7 USMTS races on the podium. He's got a 121-point lead in the USMTS. By far the most consistently fast driver right now in USMTS is Sanders. Experience paying off. That MB Custom has looked really good. It's got a lot more dig than I saw from him last year. Rodney Sanders, 5 USMTS, leads the win count in USMTS right now. And remember, he came from he pitted and came up, I believe, to a top 5 finish at that 100 grand to win showdown at Mississippi Thunder too. So Rodney Sanders, definitely the stud right now. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we're going to go Jim Chisholm. You want to talk about a dud? Jim Chisholm laying an egg. This past week, guys, 5th, 7th, 11th, and 9th. He didn't even sniff a podium this last week. He's trying to go back-to-back on a championship. Sorry, dude. You're going to have to maybe quit having that little brotherly feud going on and focus on winning races because right now, Rodney Sanders, Tanner Mullins, Strickler, they're all faster than you. And I tell you what, if you want to have a shot to come back and win another natty, you're going to have to get her together. Bert?
I may have to take the blame for that because I hardly ever picked Jim Chisholm last year, and I'm picking him every race this year because he did so well last year.
Well, keep that shit up. Keep that shit up. All right. You keep picking them, and I'm going to keep not picking them, and I'm going to try to keep gapping you a little bit in the points. All right. Let's jump on to some late model action on the kind of on more regional, mostly Wissota, Eastern Wisconsin, Dirt Kings is, regional type stuff. Bert, give us, you got a stud, you got a dud? What do you got going on late models?
Yeah, for the stud, I got to go with Brett Swedberg. He won the Dirt Kings race last week at 141 Speedway. He only led 2 laps, but he led the most important lap. And so I think it was 4,300 to win, or I don't know. It was over $4,000 to win. So that was a good victory for him. And for the dud, I'm going to go with Nick Evelink because he led all the other laps of that race, and he kind of got boxed in lap traffic with 2 laps to go, and Swedberg was able to get around him on the outside, and and take the victory. And you don't see that happen to Nick too often. And this is it's a jokingly dud, but he had that race, but the lap traffic kind of messed it up for him.
Would you give him, would you give him a C grade for the weekend?
Yeah, probably C plus.
Kick him while he's down. Kick him while he's down. All right, fair enough. Swedberg, yeah, that was a hell of a show right there. Changa, stud, dud.
My stud, I'm going to go with James Nitro G.O.A.T. He had 2 firsts and 2 seconds in his last 5 races, and he won at Red Cedar last week. So G.O.A.T. has definitely turned his program around, and he's fast again, right? My dud, I'm going to go with Johnny Broking, right? A 15th and an 8th in his last 2 races, and quite honestly, he just doesn't even race anymore. I mean, like, where are you? I want to see your race. You're fun to watch.
Domesticated, part-timer. Yeah, I talk to Johnny pretty regularly. He just don't even care. He's like, I honestly think that if it wasn't for, grandpa, dad, and all that, I think he'd probably just as soon go to the lake, be domesticated, hang out with the kid. When he's at the track, he wants to compete, but I don't think he's got that fire.
I just wanted to give a shout out Pat Dorr, right? Got his first win of the year. Won at Gondik Law, got a 4th at Ogilvy, so maybe his program's turning around this year. Good to see him back up front again.
Yeah, weird after we put him on the dud list as well. All right, I'm gonna go Tucker Peterson for a stud. So he hasn't had a big year, not a lot of stuff going on, but remember last week, Kelsey Peterson was the highest finishing gal in the history of the NLRA, right? She got a 3rd place finish. Well, this week, Tucker Peterson, her brother, former street stock standout, got his first ever NLRA late model feature win over at the Devil's Playground, Devil's Lake Speedway. Congratulations to him. Of course, dad, hell of a driver. Joey Peterson's won a ton of races, but Tucker Peterson getting it done in NLRA action. Dud, I'm going to still go Mike Gresseth. I don't know it sounds to me like he's just kind of leaving the car on the shelf, kind of going to bring it out a little bit here and there, focus on the money shows at the end. Another guy that, I tell you what, if there's a guy in the area that was really the thorn in the side of Dustin Strand over the past few years, it was 100% Gresseth. Now that he's barely racing, it's discouraging because we want to see more of him and he's just not there. So the fact that he's just where's Waldo, I'm going to put Gresseth on that list. Now, of course, Cole Searing, he got a win at Brown County, TPO, got a win at Fergus. He's got 7 on the year. But USRA late models, I'm going to give a quick shout out here by a guy by the name, I believe it's Corey Reese. He got first at Red Cedar. They had over 20 late USRA late models there this past Friday. He's got all top 5s except for a couple DNFs, 4 wins on the year. I don't know much about the guy, but I always see him on the stat sheet. He's always running up front. I'm gonna start paying a little bit more attention because we keep a pretty good eye on Cade, right? We're big Cade Nelson's fans, but Corey Reese's been stealing some wins from the Little Hammer out there. So shout out to him. All right, Go ahead.
Well, speaking of Cade Nelson, I see he made the trip to Eagle River again this week. Finished 2nd in the late model feature there.
Yeah, he's traveling quite a bit. I think he's got 1 more full year in that USRA deal, and then I think he's going to transition. And from what I understand, is next year it's going to be only WISSOTA late model. I'm not positive on that, but that's the rumors I'm hearing. That's good for all of us Northern fans because another Nelson generation is definitely good. All right. Modifieds, Bert.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Race Van Pay. He's the son of RM Van Pay. I mean, he's been racing for quite a while now already. But he started racing when he was 15 or 16. I did a story on him in Full Throttle magazine when he started racing. But anyway, he won the feature at 141 Speedway. He hasn't raced too much this year. I looked up his stats. He's only raced 4 times. He's been raced in 4 features, and he's won 2 of them. So pretty good percentage there.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't have any duds this week.
No duds. Changa, stud or dud in the modified?
Well, I gotta do it. I'm gonna go. My stud of the week is gonna be the 40D, the One to Go show 40D, Blake Adams, right? Got third up in Grand Rapids, second in Menominee at the Red Cedar Speedway, second at Emo, one at Granite, and then he won at Hibbing last night. So I'm going to go Blake Adams for my stud of the week. My dud, TPO. Tyler Peterson just has speed, right? Always has speed, but he got a 13th place DNF in his last outing. He's got a fourth the race before that, and then he had the heat race win at Casino on the USMTS night. Blew up an engine, didn't even get to race the feature. So TPO, my dud of the week.
Yeah, Blake's got 9 wins on the year right now. 8 WISSOTA wins. He's got 8 seconds and 4 thirds. So he's been on the podium a bunch. So my stud, I am gonna go. Well, there's a couple here, but there's one race I actually watched Fiesta City Speedway this past week, because they had the Super Stock Series, and I just happened to have it on. I'm buddies with Brian Hobbin. I'm like, I'm gonna kind of watch this. Nate Heinrich is freaking fast. Holy shit. He went by Hobbin. Like, I thought Hobbin maybe like popped it out of gear or something. I mean, literally looked like he was going 30 miles an hour faster than everybody else on the racetrack. And so Heinrich's got 3 wins on the year. And I get it. People are like, the car counts ain't great over there typically, but go beat him. Go beat him. Right? If you think it's easy to win over there, go beat him. Nate Heinrich is really, really fast in that 10 ride. Speaking of that, I'm going to give the dud to Hobbin, my buddy Brian. Hobbin's been the guy over there for a number of years, winning championships at Monty, Madison, and all that. Heinrich took several years off. He comes back in, and he is second fiddle all day long to Heinrich. Brian Hobbin, he does have 1 win, but I think he's so freaking discouraged that he's only got a handful of races in because he's like, shit, why even go? Can't beat Heinrich's anyway. So Brian Hobbin, kind of the dud. Now, I want to give a shout out, Brady Utanen. First career A-Mod win at his home track, Gonda Class Speedway, getting it done up there. Of course, his dad, Hall of Famer up there, is one of the consistent front runners for our entire lifetime in the modified division, Al Utanen, but Brady getting it done finally in the mods. Another guy, Travis Sauer. Now, he was unbelievably good in Midwest mods for a number of years, was pretty quick in a modified, and then the last handful of years, kind of irrelevant. He jumps into it. I don't know. He got a brand new car. I think he's got a new MB. He has been really, really quick. He got a first at Ada, a second at Viking. He got 4th in the USMTS race with a WISSOTA car. Travis Sauer, a guy to keep an eye on at Viking. And Changa kind of walked away, but Belfi reached out to me, and he's like, I know. I had Belfi on the dud list, right? He's like, you ever have one of them years where you feel like your shit's really good, but you just can't frickin' win and you get second all the time? And I said, yeah, I can recall. I had a year in Hibbing where I think I got 8 or 9 seconds, and it's like I was just there every night, but I just couldn't quite get over the hump. And he got another pair of seconds this week, right? So bridesmaid of the week to Jody B. Alphabet.
Something I was paying attention to tonight is I saw on Facebook that Jody was talking about going to Thunder Bay tonight. Didn't make the trek up there. Probably good because they ended up rating out the features anyhow. But
yeah, he probably looked at it. He's good up there. That's his kind of forte. That slippery smooth type stuff. So he's been quick. He's been good. We talked about him. He's been consistently up front, just lacking wins. He won opening night, hasn't won since, but he's probably due.
They haven't raced at home.
Not much.
Proctor haven't raced much. He's going to get his stuff going. He's going to win some races.
Correct. Super stocks. But first, a shout out to Fast Lane Motorsports and Powder Coating right over in Ashland, Wisconsin. proud home of the Galloper chassis, custom fabricating. They do sandblasting, powder coating. They can get any race part you need. You need tires, safety equipment, shocks. You name it, they can get it. Chris and the gang, awesome people to deal with. You can pick stuff up at the store. They can bring it to the track. They service a lot of racetracks. They can drop ship to you, whatever you need. They'll take good care of you. Fast Lane Motorsports and Powder Coating up in Ashland, Wisconsin. That leads in. We did have 4 nights of the Northland Superstock Series, and of course, Fastlane Motorsports, the title sponsor of that series. And right now, I don't know if you guys saw the points in that deal. Old Ashtray, Kurt Myers leading the way, Tommy Richards second, Dexton Cook third, Doug Koski in fourth right now. Fifth is Alex Myers. Spacek was right up in the hunt in that deal, and he tore some shit up on at Monty, and I think he went home, and I don't think he could make it back, so he opted out, went up to Ashland and won. But 4 races this week. Before we jump into a little recap on that, Bert, did you watch any super stock stuff, or are you going to defer to us?
I'm going to defer to you guys.
I thought that's kind of what you talked about there. So, Changa, stud dud, super stocks.
The cheap answer, the stud is Shane Sabraski. Wins in Rapids, DNF'd at Gondik, running good. Won at Ogilvy, second.
Running good? Stop it. He was running 82nd in Superior. He was a solid like 50th maybe or something in the feature. I don't know if he had a motor problem or what, but he was absolutely turtle speed up there.
2 firsts and a second on the weekend. I mean, it's, it's same old, right? My dad is Dexton. Dexton was freaking awesome. Dexton was awesome at KRA. I mean, he was the dominant car. He was awesome. And then he goes and gets a 21st, a 4th, and a 10th the rest of the weekend. It's like, what? You were the best car on the racetrack, and what happened?
Absolutely, yeah. Sabraski's an easy one, of course. He's got 12 wins on the year.
I want to give a little shout out to Doug Koski, right? Dougie, 11th at KRA, 3rd at Fiesta, 7th at Viking, 4th at Granite, and just proud of him for running that whole series, right?
Absolutely. The only thing I'm disappointed is we didn't get our typical, he usually goes to the concession, tells us what he ate, gives us a little recap.
I saw it on Facebook. He had some chicken nuggets or something last night in Hibbing. He broke the ear right off of the freaking gears, and the drive shaft spit out last night. And
leading. He was leading too.
And he did give an update on no pit concessions, but he did have some chicken nuggets or something.
Yeah. Chisholm, Minnesota represent. Yeah, it was good to see. Doug ran good. He's running 4th right now in the Superstock Series, so hopefully he can close that deal out and finish himself up in the top 5, maybe even further forward. I'm going to go stud. I'm going to go Jordan Hinkemeyer. Back-to-back wins. He won at Gondik pretty convincingly. Then he went to the Viking Speedway for their Superstock Series event and give him kind of an ass whooping over there at the Viking Speedway. Only 4 races on the year since he got back from Arizona. Like, there's a where's Waldo? Where the hell's he been? Well, he's 2 of 4. He won the last 2, and he looked dang good doing it. So Jordan Hinkemeyer in the 11A, that is my stud. The dud, boy, oh boy, oh boy. I mean, Dexton was kind of the low-lying fruit on that one, right? But I am going to probably go Dennis Zeck. Dennis Zeck's a guy that he runs good. Very limited schedule, mostly runs Granite, occasionally runs over at Ogilvy, pulls out for the parade lap, Bert. Parade lap. Guess what happened, Bert? Parade lap.
No,
yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, tire fell off. Parade lap. Dennis the Menace. What are we doing here, right? He's legit fast. If he ran a lot of races, he would win a shit ton. He's a guy that, like, he runs right with Shane and Kurt and all them guys. Dexton. Dennis Zeck's a really good race car driver, but tire falling off? Come on, guy. Come on. I want to give a shout out Sean Ferncase. Now, 3 bad nights on the series. We're going to talk about them. But he gave them an absolute ass kicking at Fiesta City. Did you watch Fiesta City, Changa?
I watched a few highlights after you told me that he had kicked their asses.
Do you know where he started?
No.
10th.
Oof.
He found a line, and he had the same line. He was running the same line as Nate Heinrich was in the mod. He was banging it up on top, and he was just carrying speed through the middle of the corner. He was so much faster than, and it was a stacked field. A lot of good race cars there with the Fastlane Superstock Series. He made him look stupid. I mean, he was unbelievably fast. TB81, Tommy Bowden, 5 wins. He got another win this past weekend as a rookie. He's got 5 on the year. Dylan Nelson had 3 podium finishes in the tour. Max Nelson got a win this week at Princeton. Dalton Carlson's guy that we talked about won from 8th. I didn't have him on the list, but he won from 8th last night in Hibbing. He looked pretty good. So Superstock's always putting on a good show. The Superstock Series winners, Dexton Cook at KRA Speedway. Ferncase won. Sean Ferncase at Fiesta City. Jordan Hinkemeyer at Viking. Kurt Myers got it done at Granite. Kurt Myers, a 22-point lead over Tommy Richards right now in the Fastlane Superstock Series. All right. Bert, you got any sport mod stuff?
Nope, I'm going to defer to you guys on this one also.
Midwest Restartifieds. All right, Shango. What do we got? Stud and dud in the restart. Midwest Modifieds. Bert, put some respect on their name. What are we doing here? Come on. Quit picking on these guys. All right.
So, my stud of the week, I'm going to go with a guy I don't know a whole lot about. Guy by the name of Mario Berger. 4 straight wins out west. 8 straight podiums, 5 wins in that stretch. So that's the guy I'm going to go with for my stud of the week, or stud of the last couple weeks, I guess. My dud's going to be David Simpson. Right, he did get a 2nd place last week, but then he had a 9th and a 3rd, and he's just had a couple of good runs. But another week without a win, from a guy we expect to win some races, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Coming off a natty, right? It's that slump. Dexton Cook's got the same thing going on. They both won the natty last year. Same thing with Cole Chernosky in the mod. There's a guy that we probably should have as a dud. I mean, he won the natty last year. All 3 of them guys, they're just, you can tell they're probably not in position to repeat. Let's just put it that way. A lot of season to go. They can turn things around, but it ain't looking good right now. Midwest Mods. I'm gonna go with a stud. I'm probably gonna go Michael Blevins Sr. 4 wins on the year, and there was a Midwest Mod special last week up at the Grand Rapids Speedway, and the local guy builds his own chassis right there in Hibbing, Minnesota. He got her done, parked it in Victory Lane. There were some hitters in town for that as well, but he actually won. Mervyn Castle 2nd, Blake Adams 3rd after, of course, Mikey Blevins got DQ'd. So Michael Blevins would be my stud on the list. I'm gonna go for a dud. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I am gonna go. You had David Simpson, and I had that written down, and I think I just got to go there. I think I'll just. We're not going to waste any time. I'm going to follow suit with that. So it's the championship kind of layover type deal. Same thing happens in a lot of sports. They get to the championship, and what happened to him next year? He's not repeating. Of course, he did have kids. A lot has changed in life. But David Simpson, couple guys to keep an eye on though. Travis Engebretson down at the Viking Speedway, guys. He's got 5 nights in at Viking Speedway, 4 wins and a 3rd. He's been dominant there in the 1X. Keep an eye on him. Tyler Vernon, a guy that we talk about every week. He's got 8 wins. Blake Adams turning his season around in that Midwest mod. Could he possibly make a run? He's been really, really good the past couple weeks in that Midwest mod, guys. And Joey Jensen hasn't really been kind of lighting the world on fire, right? Could Blake Adams be putting himself in the conversation here? So Todd Stark has kind of turned himself in to the new guy out in South Dakota. Mikey Nichols was that guy. Adam Brotherton. Right now in the state of South Dakota, Todd Stark, the guy to keep an eye on out there in the Midwest Mod Division. Let's go street stocks. You got stock car stuff, Bert? Or are you going to defer? What do we got?
Yes. No, I got stock car
All right,
stuff.
I
I mean,
figured you did. That's the best class in IMCA.
well,
It's not close.
everybody calls me a late model guy, and I do love me some late models, but I went to Shawano Speedway this last weekend instead of 141 because Shawano Speedway was having a 2,500 to win IMCA stock car special, and I wanted to see that more than the late models at 141. So like I said, I love me some late models, but I love me some stock cars too. So anyway, Shawano Speedway, they had 31 IMCA stock cars, and Jeremy Christian came out on top in the feature, so I got to go with him for the stud of the week. Big victory. It was a really good race. Cars were jockeying all over the track for position. I saw some drivers post on Facebook that it was the best track of the year so far at Shawano Speedway. So it looks like they're getting the new clay figured out, and the track was smooth, and so that's a plus. And then for my dud, I'm gonna go with Dan Machonsky. He's a front runner at Shawano Speedway, but this year he just can't get a victory. He was running in the top three at one point last Saturday, and I think his final finishing position was ninth. So he kind of faded towards the end of the race, and um, doesn't have his brother has a victory this year, but he doesn't have a victory. So I'm sure that, that's talked about too. And I'm gonna add one more driver. I mean, he's a really good driver, but first of all, I want to thank Luke Lemons for coming to Shawano. He was second in points at 141. He was only like 9 points out, and he went to Shawano last week instead of racing at 141 because he was racing for the money. He wound up pulling off early because he had some overheating problems. There were several cars who had overheating problems. The cars would pull into the pits, and Shawano, they have a garden hose by one of the buildings. So then they grab the garden hose and they're spraying water on the engine, on the radiator. So those are my drivers for stud and dud of the week.
It was freaking hot. It's pretty cool
Yeah,
that they do that. That was pretty cool that they help the drivers out
yeah.
that way instead. I've never heard of that before. It's kind of neat. All right, Changa, you got a shocked look on your face. What do we got going on here?
Actually watching that super stock race at Monty from last week. I just flipped it on because he told me how awesome it was. And oh my God, you were not exaggerating. He was freaking awesome.
Jump on a Dirt Race Central. So first of all, if you don't have Dirt Race Central, get Dirt Race Central, right? You can rent the races or you can buy the races pay-per-view. I think it's only like right around $150 for the year, and you can watch on demand, right? It's worth it. If you're a Wissota fan, you got to have Dirt Race Central. If you don't, you're missing out. And when you get it, go to Fiesta City. I want you to watch the mods. I want you to watch Heinrich. I want you to watch the super stocks. And it is unbelievable how much faster Ferncase and Heinrichs were than every other car on the field. It was absolutely flabbergasting, the disparity. It's worth watching. It's worth checking out. All right, street stocks. Who do you got?
Well, I'll take it again, and I know you're going to give me some feedback on this, but I'm going to go Colton Brower, stud of the week, right? So last week, he won 3 out of 5. Probably should have won 4. He had a hiccup where late race restart gone by a straightaway at Granite in the tour race, and they stuffed it in on the inside, and he lifted, pushed, and a couple cars got by, and it robbed him of the 4 out of 5. But then won again tonight with 31 cars up in Thunder Bay. So 4 out of 6, and we'll call it the last week and a half. 4 out of 6 with a third and a fifth. It don't get much better than that. My dud, and I know this is gonna sound terrible, but I'm gonna go with Trey Hess. He had 1 win in 5 tries last week, and then if you count the third place he got tonight, 1 win in 6 tries. You're the national point leader trying to win a natty. You can't let the other guy win 4 and you win 1. So I'm gonna call him the dud of the week.
Bert. Chong is drunk. Okay, he's drunk. Like he's drinking doing the show right now. I'm not sure what he's drinking.
Drinking water.
Yeah. We hear Colton Brower, and Colton Brower is great. He's having a hell of a season. I watched 2 street stock races last week, right? You know what happened in them 2 street stock races, Bert? One, Granite City Motor Park, Sunday, Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tour. Tommy Pagonis drove by him like his shit was broke and won at his home turf. Okay. Colton Brower's leading the race, gets 5th. That's a stud. 1st to 5th. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? 1st to 5th ain't a stud. What? Okay, so Tommy Pagonis, he got it done at home. You know what happened the next night? Tommy Pagonis started right up by him there, restart even, kind of gapped them together. He put a half a track on Colton Brower and Hibbing. Literally whooped the dog snot out of him. Yeah, Colton Brower's a hell of a year. Probably going to be the national champion. My stud, Tommy Pagonis, whooping the shit out of him. Now, I had fans reach out, well, yeah, he's never going to get tech. Dad's a tech guy. Come on now, let's give the kid some credit for picking on old Pogo Chicken here. But Tommy Pagonis was fast. Now, Bert, he gives Trey Hess the dud. You know what Trey Hess did last night in Hibbing, Bert? You want to know what he did? He gets together with Brower. Caution comes out. They put Trey Hess to the back. Probably the right call. He comes from last and drives by Colton Brower to get 2nd from last. So if Colton Brower's the stud, does that make Tommy Pagonis the super stud? Because the 2 times I watched him, he beat him. I'm just asking, right? And Trey Hess, the dud, drove by him after getting put to the back last night. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Rebuttal. Okay, so Colton Brower was the best car at Granite. That was just dumb luck he didn't win that. He was not very good in Hibbing. Hibbing, he looked like a fish out of water. He did, but he was
Colton lucky he didn't get disqualified in Princeton. He should have been disqualified.
All I can tell you is
probably
this.
a 30-day suspension. He went from 1st to 5th, no backup beeper. Wasn't on the car.
All I can tell you is this. He was the best car 5 out of 6 nights. He sucked in Hibbing. He was not good in Hibbing. And I'm telling you, little Pogo was freaking bolted. That thing he was in a race of his own. I mean, Trey was good, but Pogo was in a world of his own. That thing, he was in cruise control, just putting around, pulling away. I mean, he was awesome.
Yeah, both. I mean, I'm giving Chonga some shit here. Colton Brower's he's had a hell of a season. He continues to do so, but Tommy Pagonis has been pretty darn sporty. Keep an eye on that 04. And looking at the Street Stock Tour, so Kyle Dykoff, he won Princeton, so that would have made it, what, 4 in a row, I think, right? He won 4 in a row. Obviously, he's a stud. He got a 3rd and a 4th in the other 2 races. Jimmy Gullickson won at Ogilvie. He was dang quick down there. I did watch that race too. Probably out of all the races I watched street stock wise, probably the best race. Ogilvie was fantastic. Really good race. Unfortunate ending for Hansen there. So Hansen was good too. I mean, Hansen got a 3rd, and then of course he got the 2nd. So he had some speed. He was quick. But I'm going to put Dustin Dowdy as my dud. Not because he's been slow, but we ain't talked about him, right? You know why we ain't talked about him? He's running a USRA hobby stock, which is probably the closest to a Wissota street stock. They have USRA stock cars are more like an IMCA stock car. USRA hobby stocks are more similar to a Wissota street stock. And he's been pretty dominant. I think he's leading the points down at Deer Creek. I'm giving him the frickin' dud because I'm pissed off that he's running USRA. Now, I get it. We bang on Wissota, but I want to watch him race against all the Wissota guys, follow the street stock tour. I want to see that. And here he's off gallivanting around down at Deer Creek, playing around down there with the JV roster. Dowdy, get your ass back to Wissota where he belongs so we can watch you race against the Wissota guys. You're my dud of the week. All right. Let's go grassroots. Bert, deferring?
Deferring.
Yep. Chonga, grassroots, stud, dud, and don't steal my stud with your trending add-on. All right, stud and dud. What do you got?
My stud of the week is going to be Eric Crosby in the pure stock. Went 3 for 3, one at Eagle River, one at Gondik, one at ABC.
After getting DQ'd. So he got DQ'd last week up in Grand Rapids for having a aftermarket, I think a Hawk brake pad on. It's probably on the left front to help the car turn, right? I'm guessing. But they caught him, whatever happened up there. He gets DQ'd. He's like, boy, they DQ'd me. I went 3 for 3 afterwards. Congratulations there, Crosby.
So my dud of the week, and this guy did pretty well, right? Had a couple of thirds. Bobby Arnis, pair of thirds, but he let Anthony Jensen beat him both nights. And, what was, 8-7 feature race win thing is now 10-7. So we let him pull a little bit further away. He needed to get at least one of them, so I'm gonna give Bobby my dud of the week, and I will defer the rest to you so I don't steal your answer.
Yeah, I'm gonna go local. I'm gonna go Brady Fossil. He got another win. He won up in Grand Rapids. I believe that was back-to-back wins that he had, and then kind of got roughed up there by your dud there, Bobby Arns, for the win in Hibbing, and a little disappointed. I always want to see him win, but you gotta toughen the skin. You kind of gotta callous yourself up. You're gonna have to get roughed up a little bit. Now, Brady Fossil hung around the 28 camp, right, for a long time, the Provenzino camp. Have Provo explain to you how to rough somebody up back for the win. He's done it a time or two, okay? He knows how to do it, okay?
He's clean. He don't rough people up.
But he is clean. I enjoy watching a little contact. That's what these grassroots classes are about. Kind of throw the bumper to them. But it's cool because you see this local kid, traveling all over the frickin' place, and he's kind of doing some of the stuff I did, driving down the racetracks by himself, 3 hours away, driving home, going to work the next day without a pit crew. Pretty cool to see. So I'm having a lot of fun watching Brady Faso. And in the dud, I'm just gonna stick with the teching, right? Quit jacking around these grassroots classes. It's unnecessary. I did talk to a promoter, probably gonna have him on the show here in the not so distant weeks. And he's like, I want to get on the show. I got some stuff I want to say. Absolutely. Love to have you. And one of the things he brought up, and we'll talk about, is why are they spending 4 times as the amount of teching on these grassroots cars as they do on everybody else? I'm not saying everybody needs to be over teched, but why on earth are they putting more time into teching all these classes get paid $100, $200 to win than they are late models, modifieds, and stuff? People, it's not just me recognizing this, it's people throughout WISSOTA. It's unnecessary. WISSOTA, please stop. All right. So let's go with a shout out here. Take a little break. Shout out East Central Sports. So East Central Sports, located in Rush City, Minnesota, just north of the Twin Cities off I-35. They are your #1 source for pit bikes, kids ATVs, golf carts, Toro lawnmowers, and a whole lot more. So get a hold of Mac. You can call them 320-358-1994. You can check them out online at www.eastcentralsports.com. Some of these pit areas, Bert, they're a long ways from where you can actually see the races at. You need a pit bike, right? You need a golf cart. You need something. Well, where do you want to go? You want to go to a business that supports racing, sponsors cars, racer himself, sponsors series, sponsors our show. Who is that? East Central Sports, right there in Rush City, Minnesota. Thanks a lot, Mac. Check them guys out. All right. WISSOTA Natty Trivia. So we're keeping track right now. I'm at 2. I got 2 wins. Bert and Changa both have 1 right now. Now, the 4 drivers that have come off the board, what do you got to know? Oh, you got your notes. You're doing the questions. All right, so this week, and how we're doing it is whoever loses, they give the clues the following week. So that this week it's Changa. So far off the board, Bert, is Wile E. Coyote, right? We got Kuyath. Troy Kuyath is off the board. Adam Hensel off the board. David Karst off the board. And Mitch Johnson off the board. All right, Changa. Natty Trivia WISSOTA National Champion trivia. What do you got?
Okay. I'm not even telling you guys the class because that makes it more fun, right?
I'm good.
Is that okay?
It's fine.
Or do you want me to tell you the class?
Just go.
First bedtime is 1 a.m., so we gotta slow down. Okay, it's a late model guy. All right. This driver has won 4 national championships.
Craig Thatcher.
This is a late model driver.
That's one. That's one gone. That's one gone. You
Okay.
get three now. Okay.
This driver won 4 straight national championships. Two of his national championships were in another class.
Cantorment.
Kirk Gelling.
This driver, oh God, I got dogs freaking out. This driver hails from North Dakota. Nothing? God, I gotta start making up questions because I figured I had it by now. Okay.
North Dakota.
This driver has won a national championship in each of the last 4 years.
Tyler Peterson.
That's right.
Jesus. Yeah, I keep forgetting he's from frickin' North Dakota. Yeah, Hickson. Yep. That's 2 drivers, right? Hickson, I think that's where Mitch Johnson's from. Kind of a little yeah, that would have been
That
another
would be
clue
easier.
there.
I only put down 4 and I had to make up a 5th one.
Right. So all right. We got that's 3 in a row, guys. That's 3 in a row. 3, and I'm gonna put TPO over here.
Bert, next week you just gotta tell me what the answer is ahead of time so we can get him off the freaking winning streak.
Tyler Peterson. Yep. Mod, late. All right. So our pick'ems, we'll get into it. We got our pick'ems points here. Of course, last week's draft points added on. Chonga was super happy about that. So I am leading 6 points ahead of Bert. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. Chonga, with his not so stellar effort in the draft, fell back to 3rd. Coach is in 4th. Dano's in 5th. Now, there is literally only 18 points separating the top 3, 4, 5 of us.
Behind now.
Huh?
How many points am I behind now?
Behind me, 11. Well,
It'd
9.
about
9, because
15.
you had turbo the beginning of the week, so 9. You're
So
9.
I'd be ahead by like 15 if we didn't have drafts.
Yeah, or if you'd be better at the draft, you'd be leading too. There is that. Bert, who did you have? Did you have turbo for the first
Yes.
night?
Yes.
So you're only 4 points behind. So
at least I'm gonna win this other freaking bold prediction deal because I'm gonna just bunt every time.
Well, we're gonna talk about that in a minute. So this week's event, so it's me, Bert, Chonga, Coach Dano, Rainman, your defending champion, in 6th, Governor at 7th, Uper at 8th, Tardy at 9th, Worker Bee and Man Bun Dan are tied at 10th, Bromance and Beefcake rounding out the field. All right. This week's events, we're picking both nights. World of Outlaw Sprint Cars at the Cedar Lake Speedway on Friday and Saturday. High Limit Sprint Cars Thursday, Friday, Saturday down at the Lucas Oil Speedway, Wheatland, Missouri. World of Outlaw Late Models with a northern swing. They're going to be at I-94, Fergus Falls, Grand Forks, Ada, and then Minot. Hunt the Front Late Models co-sanctioned with the Northern All-Stars Late Models at Lake Cumberland and Florence. Hell Tour, Macon, Farmer City, Highland, Clarksville. Wissota Midwest Mods, they were supposed to have a special tonight at Thunder Bay that's been rescheduled. And then Sheridan. That's a big one. 10,000 to win for the Wissota Midwest Modifieds out west. And then the Tri-State Late Models, I believe this is the first time they've done this this swing. Britt, Iowa, Webster City, Iowa, and Mason City. Them are the races that we are picking this week. So Any of those races in particular that you're looking forward to more than most?
Obviously, the late models in Minnesota and North Dakota.
I guess
That
the
w-
10,000 to win Midwest Mod Show sounds interesting to me.
That's probably the one. I'm looking forward to Florence. There's a little precursor here, 20 grand to win. Of course, North-South 100 coming up in the not so distant future. That's always one of my favorite races, but quite a few good ones this weekend. If you can't get to a track, there's a lot to watch online. That's for sure. All right, guys, bold predictions. And again, the most egregious, premeditated, just travesty that we've had in the history, Bert.
Oh God,
Possibly in the history of the One to Go show. So we keep track. We make 3 racing related predictions, and we keep track on correct predictions, correct percentage, right? And so Bert, you had 3 come off the board this past week. You said, and by the way, Uper says thank you for sniping him on this one. He appreciates that, okay? Because he was going to make the same one, and you took the hit. So non-World of Outlaws would make up 50% or more of podium finishes at Huset's this past weekend. That did not happen. You also said Kyle Dykhoff would podium all 3 nights and win too. Way to jinx him, Bert. Way to go. Non-regular would win the stock car special at the half mile. Shano. You got that one correct. Who was that again, Bert?
Jeremy Christians.
Jeremy Christians. All right. I had a couple come off the board. I said nobody would win more than 2 in the Super Stock Series this weekend. 4 different winners. Got that one right. I also said between the Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tour, the Grand Rapids Midwest Mod Special, the Fastlane Super Stock Series, that's 8 races, 24 possible podium finishes. Okay. I said in 5 of those 8 shows, okay, in 5 of those 8 shows, there would be a total, okay, there'd be a total of 5. There'd be 5 or more drivers on the podiums that were currently top 5 at that track in that class. There was exactly 5. There was so out of 24 possible podiums.
Shit.
I did. I did it today with Uper on the phone. 24 out of 24 possible podiums, there was exactly 5 drivers that were in the top 5 in that class at that track and points going into the event that finished on the podium. I squeaked that one out with a pogo win on Sunday at Granite. It was close. All right, so I got 2 correct. Uper said Kyle Larson would win at least one of the 6-figure paydays. He was so confident that he drafted him, and he only showed up for one of the 2 and did not win. So that was a no. And then he said that the combination of Drake Troutman, Tyler Erb, Brian Shirley would have a better average finish than Bobby Pierce, Nick Hoffman, Tim McCready at I-55. Yeah, no, that did not happen. Changa, you had 3. Okay. The first one here, you said Jim Chisholm would win at least 2. No. No. You said Dirt Race Street Stocks. One winner, at least one of the winners would be a driver that was not currently in the top 10 in points in the Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tour. Jimmy Gullickson, and I believe Pogo also doesn't follow the tour, so you got that one correct. But Bert, here's where he Pete Rosed us, okay? Pete Rose bet on baseball, kept him out of the Hall of Fame. Do we agree, Bert, that happened?
That happened.
Did he bet on himself to lose that we know of?
Nope.
Okay, he did not. Well, Changa sure the hell did. So Changa made a prediction that he was going to finish in the bottom 5 in the draft.
Hey, you guys were okay with it.
Now, I got to be honest with you. Now that I think about this, I think he basically did that on purpose to try to win the bold predictions. Now, Uper is so adamant about this that he says we're not counting it. And not only are we not counting it, he gets a 2-stroke penalty.
Uper needs to just get better at the game, I think.
I'm just saying, like, flat out actually cheating on purpose to get a prediction correctly is egregious. Okay.
Let's be honest. I had 2 good guys at the time I made that prediction.
I don't know. I think, I mean, Changa, nobody's bad enough at this deal to have nobody show up on the final day.
I was going to be better than you, and I
Did you pay these guys to not show up to the final day so you could get this right?
I mean, let's be honest. Do I have enough money to pay them to
not anymore? Not after you pay them.
Go to Burger King.
Cheater. Fucking cheater. All right. Cheater. Okay.
I should get 2 bonus points.
Bert, do we give him credit for this one?
Well, we didn't say anything last week.
All right. All right. So
I had 14-18.
So if we give him credit for it, okay, then he's at 13 correct. 13 correct. Bert, myself, and Uper are all at 7. And Chong would be at 40%. I'm at 31.8. Bert's at 29.2, and Uper's at 24.1. I don't know. Listeners, let us know. Do we count it? Do we just ixnay it and not count it? Do we not count it? Give him a 2-stroke penalty? I don't know what to do. So, Changa, go ahead.
Are we going to have any more drafts this year?
Yeah, I think we're going to have one every other week.
No, well, how many more are we going to do this year? I'm guessing we're going to do World 100. We'll probably do Knoxville Nationals. Are we doing
that? With Soda 100?
Yes. We're gonna do the Wasota 100, and we're gonna do that one. Basically, we're gonna pick 8 drivers and take. It's gonna be any class.
That's interesting. And, that's fun.
Yeah. So instead of picking all them races, we'll do some kind of a draft, and you can pick any driver, and we'll do that in advance. But I think we just need to keep doing enough drafts until you figure this deal out. Now, I haven't won one. I ain't good at this. Bert's won one. I haven't won one. So I'm just saying. So
fair enough. All right, get into it.
So let's get into it. We're gonna make our 3 bold predictions to close out the show. We're gonna go with Bert. We'll go with Changa. We'll go with Upers, and then we're gonna go with mine. So Bert, your first prediction.
We're gonna go with the Hell Tour. Of the remaining races this week, Turbo will win at least 2 of the features.
I'm glad they rained out tonight.
Oh boy! All right, you sniped Uper again. Again. Yes. Wow.
Okay, here we go.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and cross this one off for him. 2 more Hell Tour. Okay, we'll cross that one off. All right. So 2 more Hell Tour, at least 2 more Hell Tour wins this week. For Turbo. All right, Changa.
So, you guys pick on me, so I'm going to go bold. I'm going to go really freaking bold. Changa will get a top 2 in a draft this year.
Wow. Okay. All right, Pete. Way to go, Pete. All right. Pete Rose calling a shot here. Gonna bet on himself again, but betting on himself to win.
Betting on myself, not against myself.
Exactly. That's what Pete Rose did. He bet on himself too. All right. Proud of you. All right. That's the spirit. Now, just to make sure he doesn't get that one right, Bert, we're not having any more drafts.
Well, then it's just a throwout.
Just kidding. All right, Uper's first one.
I'd be happy with it. If we didn't have drafts, I'd be fucking dominating.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. All right, Uper's first prediction. So there's 4 races, World of Outlaws, on that northern swing this week. Nick Hoffman, Bobby Pierce. At least one of those 2 drivers on the podium all 4 nights. And those 2 drivers will account for at least 2 wins this week. So at least one of those two drivers on the podium all the nights of the World of Outlaw Swing this week, and they account for 2 or more wins combined between the two of them. I'm going to go out to Sheridan, Wyoming for the 10,000 to win Midwest Mod Show this weekend. There will be more DQs than local drivers on the podium. There will be more combined DQs, whether it's whatever it is, light, weight, wheel stickers, transponders, wrong colors, body, whatever. Because Pogo's out there. Pogo made the trip, okay? There will be more DQs than locals on the podium at Sheridan this weekend.
Are you including heat races?
Feature.
Okay.
For the DQ?
Yeah.
No, more DQs over the course of the event.
Okay.
Okay, over the course of the event. In the Midwest Mod class only, not the other classes don't count. So more Midwest Mod class DQs over the whole course of the event than local drivers on the podium in the 10 grand to win A-main. Thank you for making me clarify that. Okay. All right. With Pogo out there, it probably is a bunt. Yeah. Stay tuned. We got him a little something.
We'll have content next week.
We got him a little something. All right, Bert, what do you got?
I'll go World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, and I will say the 2 nights of racing, all different podium finishers over the 2 nights.
Where at?
Cedar Lake.
Cedar Lake, okay. So all different podium finishers over the 2 nights, World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, Cedar Lake Speedway. All right. Changa.
So I'm going to go Hunt the Front. And I'm going to go to Florence. And I'm going to are non-Hunt the Front regulars.
Podium drivers?
All 3 podiums are non-Hunt the Front regulars.
All 3 podiums non-Hunt the Front regulars.
Meaning they haven't.
That's very realistic. Yeah, that's where. Yeah, you got Moran, Huddy, Rice Baby. You got Garrett Albertson, Barlar,
Overton.
Yeah. Fair enough. That's a solid prediction. Okay. Uper's second prediction here. Layla and Amelia Eisenschenk got open motors. They're going to run the 4-night swing for the World of Outlaw late models this week. At least one of them makes an A-main this week. At least one of them makes the show. And if there happens to be a night where there's not enough for a B-main and like everybody's in the feature, right? They'll get a top 15. One of them will get a top 15. So that way they can't just like get in the feature because everybody did. So if there's if not everybody qualifies and they happen to, if everybody qualifies, one of them will get a top 15. All right, my second prediction. I'm gonna go World of Outlaw late model swing as well. Nobody wins more than 2. Nobody wins more than 2. And at least 6 different drivers have podium finishes over the 4-night swing. Nobody wins more than 2, and at least 6 different drivers on the podium over the 4-night swing. And if only one night races, that is null and void. So if 2 nights race, it's got to be all 6. It's got to be 2 different completely. So at least 2 nights have to count for that to happen. All right, Bert, third and final lap on the racetrack. What do you got?
All right, World of Outlaw late models. I will say this week on this swing, Bobby Pierce gets no more than 1 feature victory.
Bobby Pierce hating this week. Okay, fair enough. Chonga, you gonna take that shit? That's your
Well,
boy.
the problem is I had a World of Outlaws pick, and it's so I said on the Minnesota North Dakota swing or Minnesota Dakota swing, there would be 2 or less winners.
2 or less winners.
Yeah,
That's your third one.
that was going to be my third one. Is that okay, or do
You're
I?
gonna have to add a little bit to that because I already had that and then some. So you're gonna have to add a little bit to that for that to count.
Well, let's just change it up. Then I'm gonna change it up and go entirely different angle. Bobby Pierce will win at least 2 of them.
Bobby Pierce will win at least 2. Okay. All right. Youper's third one here. And he says, fuck Bert for sniping me again, by the way. Rico this week is going to get on the rebound here, and he's going to have at least 2 podiums and at least 1 win this week. Rico will have at least 2 podiums and at least 1 win this week. And my third and final one here, I'm going to go sprint car action as well. So the point leaders right now, I believe, are 49 and 2. So Brad Sweet and David Gravel. Okay. So I'm going to say this. The combination of the non-point leaders, Tyler Courtney and Buddy Kofoid, will have a better average finish than Brad Sweet and David Gravel.
Like it.
Buddy Kofoid, Tyler Courtney, better average finish than Sweet and Gravel. So there you have it. Episode 265 in the book, boys. Bert's bedtime is come and gone. Time for old man River there to hit the sack, get his beauty sleep. So I got to get myself back on the road. But as always, I'm Ryan. That's Bert. That's Chonga. Thanks for tuning in to the One to Go Show.